First, let's delve into the main Storybook configuration for an Angular monorepo. This configuration, typically defined in a file called main.js or main.ts, is crucial for setting up Storybook. Here, we have an object that Storybook will use to understand how to assemble our stories. We're currently setting the stories array to empty, anticipating to specify the story paths elsewhere. Next, we specify the add-ons we'll use, which extend Storybook's capabilities. We also define the framework as Angular, ensuring Storybook will use the correct presets for our components. Finally, we state that our builder of choice is Webpack 5 by setting it in the core object, which is the module bundler integrated with Storybook for Angular. Now, let's look at an individual library's Storybook configuration within that monorepo. We start by requiring the root Storybook configuration we previously set up. We then spread its contents to inherit those settings. In addition, we are specifying additional story paths related to this specific library, allowing Storybook to pick up library-specific stories. Notice how we're using glob patterns to automatically include all files ending with stories, in various formats such as JS, TS, and MDX, located under the src lib directory. Lastly, we define a Webpack final function where we could customize Webpack's configuration further. Here, we're simply returning the existing Webpack config without changes, but this is a spot where you could add customizations per library. In this sample story for an Angular component, we import meta and story from its Storybook, Angular to properly type our configurations. Then, we import the button component, the subject of our story. We define a default export object where we set the title of our component within the Storybook navigator and designate the component itself. Afterward, we create a template function. It's a standard pattern used in Storybook to make replicating stories easier. This function takes the button component arguments and returns an object specifying the component and its props. Now, we bind this template to create our primary story instance. We assign primary args, specific props corresponding to our story. Here, we're indicating that the button is primary and setting its label to button. This structures our story within Storybook and provides a clear, reusable example of the button component usage. Finally, let's tackle how we might merge a base Webpack configuration with a specific package's Storybook Webpack configuration using _' merge function. This is useful for maintaining consistency in Webpack's setup across a monorepo while allowing for local customizations. We import the merge function from _ merge and our shared base Webpack configuration. In our exported function, we take the existing Storybook Webpack config and deeply merge it with our base configuration. This ensures that any shared settings are applied while retaining the ability to override or append configuration specific to the local package. This approach promotes reusability and maintainability across multiple packages within a monorepo.